Okay, so welcome everybody. Maybe I shall stand around about here so that people on Zoom can also see me. So welcome. Thank you very much for joining this program. It's really great to see all of you. We've got about 250 people registered. There's more people who want to join, and as things shape out, we'll probably be able to get them on the next couple of weeks. So if you've got some colleagues who've been wondering why they haven't got any of these emails, that's the reason. I'll hope to get them on very soon. You're starting on a wonderful journey. This is something that I'm extremely passionate about. Quality improvement is probably one of the most important things that we can all do as healthcare professionals and people who work in the healthcare industry, other than caring for the patient that's in front of you or the patients that are in your department. Because quality improvement really helps you magnify any of your efforts to make things good for not just patients now, but the patients in the future. And some of those patients will be people you know, or people that you come across all the time. So making a system better is what we need to do every day. But you need the tools for that. You know? Be expected to get on with it. It's a skill just like anything else. It can be taught, it can be learned, and it can be done well, done badly. So hopefully after this course, you'll have a much better idea of what quality improvement is and have an idea of how to be involved and help with change initiatives. So that's my dream, that everybody will be able to do a bit of quality improvement in their jobs here in Southern DHB. So this orientation session is really about making connections with like-minded people. Everybody in this room has an interest in quality improvement to a larger or lesser extent. And it's important that you understand that you are part of a community who are trying to make this change together. You're not alone. Doing these online modules can feel quite singular if you're just on your own at home. So these classroom sessions hopefully connect you. You don't need to come to every one, but certainly coming to one or two really helps you embed your learning in the organization. So the first exercise that we're going to do is just a get to know exercise. So for the people in the rooms here and in the cargo, what I'd like you to do is to form little buzz groups. That means either groups of 3 or 4 around you, okay, just in the nearby area. And I'd like you to introduce yourself to each other, what you do, and if you could just share maybe something like a guilty pleasure, something that you recently like doing that maybe people might not know or unless they ask you. So who you are, what you do, and a guilty pleasure. And we're just going to do this in 2 minutes. So it's a very brief sort of hello, okay? And then I will put people on Zoom into buzz groups as well, into little breakout rooms, okay? So I'll do that in a minute. After that 2 minutes, then I'd like you to go a bit deeper in those buzz groups. And I'd like you to discuss what quality improvement means to you, okay? What it means to you and why you think it's important. So start to share a bit of your ideas about why you're here, what's it all about. You know, maybe you don't know anything about it, or maybe you have bring quite a bit of experience already. And it's good to hear all those ideas, okay? So 2 minutes of introductions, guilty pleasure, and then 5 minutes of just discussing about quality improvement in your buzz groups. So if you guys start in the rooms, and on Zoom, I'll just set you up in a minute. Okay? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so I hope you start to get a little sense of who's next to you. If I could just ask everybody on Zoom to introduce themselves, that would be. So an idea of who's interested in this. Probably find that there's a lot of diversity here. So people from all different corners of the PHP here to learn, and because we need everybody involved in this. So you're right that we've got everyone. If I just sort out this, there we go. So hopefully you can make these connections, and if you pass each other in the corridor next time, try and say hello. You might not remember their name, and that's okay. And don't worry about the social sort of awkwardness of it. Just say, hi, I saw you in the course, hello. But having some friendly faces goes a long way in quality improvement projects. So it's actually not just good for your, your social status or something. It actually helps your job if you can say or wave to people in the corridor. So it means a lot to patients, because at the end of the day, if you do better in your jobs, your patients benefit from that. So the next thing we're going to move on to is to just establish a bit of a learning community. And in a learning community, we all kind of have values. We kind of share values, and this learning community will have its own values as well. We don't know them yet, so we're going to try and find that out. I'll just share the screen. So hopefully everybody on Zoom can see as well. In this room here, we have written up on our whiteboards the same questions. For this program to be successful, for it to be really successful, I need you to think of 3 things and then answer these questions. And this is a fairly individual task, so you don't need to confer too much with your peers or anything. You just need to think, personally, what do you think? Okay. We also need to think about what
Need to stay awake.
we might need to mute. Maybe you want to mute.
I will.
We need to think about what we, others, the group need to do. And the last thing I want you to think about is, for this program to be really successful, what the facilitators, me and other people who you will meet along the way, need to do to make this really successful. So this is where feet are important for you guys in the room. I want you to circulate amongst the whiteboards and just write a phrase up there or a word which means something to you. For the people on Zoom, if you could use the chat function and just use that to type in your answers to the 3 questions. And in Invercargill, similar setup if you have a whiteboard, or if not, maybe just writing it down on some paper, that would be great. Okay, so we'll spend the next sort of 5-10 minutes doing that. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So thanks very much everybody for sharing your values about this course. I'm not going to go through the lists at the moment. The lists are, it's not my list, this list is your list. So I'll take pictures of these and I will share them on the email afterwards, and take some time to see what your peers have thought is needed in this course. And I will also take some time to look at it, especially the board, on what facilitators need to do so that we can make sure that we're sort of sticking to our values. And also take some time, maybe if you've got a bit of time at lunch just after, then you can have a look at them too. So what we're going to do for the next sort of 10 minutes, first of all, I'll just get people back online up here. There we go. Should be coming on. So what I want you to do is explore a little bit about health system metaphors. Okay. So we're doing this to start to introduce the idea of how to think about healthcare systems. There are many different ways to think about healthcare systems, and one way is to use a metaphor. And a lot of people use metaphors all the time to describe what the system is. What do I mean by metaphor? The healthcare system in Southern DHB is a bit like a Ferrari. You might not agree with me, or you might. Why? Because it goes really fast. I've probably not worked in this place long enough, if that's right, but you see what I mean. You can choose a metaphor and you can try and explain why it's like that and maybe how it works. So maybe it's more like a VW Golf. It kind of gets you where you're going, but maybe takes you a bit longer. And it's a machine, so you need to be able to press the right buttons in order to get it where it's going. But you can think of a healthcare system in lots of different metaphors. Car is just one of it. So in your buzz groups, again, I'd like you to share some metaphors that come to your mind. And you might start to find that people actually think of it in different ways. So if we do that for 5 minutes, and then I'll explain to you a few of my metaphors. All right? Off you go. Okay, thanks very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much over the corner there. Thank you. So I really like the fact that it's difficult to stop these conversations because it means that you are interested in this. We don't have time in this short session to start getting some of your ideas. I really would love to do that, but I'm sorry there's not enough time for that. So I'm just going to share with you some of my metaphors, which maybe encompass most of the metaphors that you've been listening to just now. So the first metaphor is what I alluded to. First of all, is that it's like a machine. Okay. So in some ways, you can think of a healthcare system like a machine. It's a big machine with some levers at the top where some of the executives get to pull from time to time. It's got lots of cogs in the system that need to work together in order for it to produce the right outcome. And if one part is broken, then sometimes the machine doesn't work at all, or sometimes it doesn't work as well as it should do. And in order to make it work better, you need to find the right part, fix it, and then it should work better. And that's a common metaphor that a lot of managers and other workers in the healthcare system will think of the system like. And that can work in certain situations. Probably usually the simple situations where a system or a system within the healthcare system is pretty controllable, and you can control most of the things around it and inside it, and therefore you know what's going to happen if you can control all those variables. So some of the projects that you might do now or you might have done in the past might actually work really well with that machine metaphor. But you might understand that a lot of change projects don't work. And that's because the machine metaphor might not be the right metaphor for that. So another common one is that the healthcare system is like a organic social community. Okay, so it's not really sort of bound by rules and reactions and actions and things like that. It's more a case of a mixing of people, because fundamentally our organization is made up of thousands of people. And so it's a community, and a community works on relationships, on ideas, on values and principles, on getting minds together, on aligning people to motivate in the same direction to get things happening in the same direction. And in a community, if people are pulling in different directions, nothing seems to work. And so you could think of some projects that you're working on more like a social thing, a social movement. And that's where you have to win over hearts and minds, rather than just finding the wrong bit and replacing it with the right bit. But then that sometimes doesn't help you, because sometimes there's a huge will and there's absolutely no way. Sometimes you have projects where everybody has decided that this is the right thing to do, but it still doesn't work. And that's because sometimes you need to think of the healthcare system like a complex adaptive system. And what do I mean by that? A complex adaptive system is something where it has lots of parts that are interacting with each other on a set of rules, but it's also influenced by the external environment. And so you can never really predict where this system is going to end up. It's a bit like raising a child. You might have twins, and you have the same parents for them. And you raise them the same values, same rules, same love, same schools, but they end up in different careers. And why is that? Because they're children, and they've got their own minds, and they've got their own influences, and there's external influences on them that you cannot control as a parent. And so they end up in different jobs because they have been influenced differently and they are passionate about different things. What you can do about children is you can try and mold the environment around them to make it as best as possible, to try and point them in the right direction, and hopefully they'll end up somewhere over there, but you don't know exactly where they're going to land. And it's the same with any complex adaptive system. You need to make the environment around it as good as possible, such as providing quality improvement training, providing access to funding, providing the right talent and people within the room, and hopefully all those ingredients will help an organization go in the right direction. We don't exactly know where it's going to end up. So that's the third metaphor, and because probably those three will encompass most of what you're talking about. But I would encourage you to think about the other two metaphors a bit more than just the machine metaphor, because that can sometimes help you break some of those sticking points in any change initiatives. So that brings us to the sort of the interactive part of this orientation. It's now just before 1:45. So I'd like to just spend the next 5 minutes just orientating you to the online stuff, just to show you that, and maybe to show you the online platform. I know that it is technically quite difficult to register and find where you're going. It's a common complaint. I will do my best to help you. But first I'm going to point you towards the SharePoint site. So just bear with me for a second.
And then I started to give them. You go get them.
Okay. I'll just leave it outside. We'll be there. Thanks. This is the website that has all the information on it. It's the SharePoint site. If you're external to the Southern DHB, you might not have direct access to that, and I'm trying to arrange that. So I've supplied you with a PDF in the meantime. On this website here, I'll just come down here. So on this website here,
Where do you find it?
Where do you find that? Well, it's on emails that was sent out, but if you email me again, I'll send you a link again. Now, here we go. So you click on Open School up at the top here, and you get this. If I just hide that for now. So this guide will tell you about the guide schedule, setting up your account, accessing the modules, about the classroom sessions, about accreditation of this course, any troubleshooting. That's a really key section there for finding, trying to solve problems, and how to make inquiries. Up on the right here is 3 main links. One is the education platform where you do the online modules. There's 13 of them. Then there's the Zoom classroom session for these sessions. And then later on, the recordings will come onto YouTube when I've uploaded them. So in the guide schedule, this is really to just guide you how you can complete it by the end of this year. You can do it quicker or slower. It's up to you. Just as long as you're making progress through it, that's great. And then on the right-hand side, you can see all the classroom sessions listed. There is a month, July, where there's no classroom session. And as I said, you don't need to come to all of them, and they are recorded for later viewing. Setting up your account, the main thing about setting up your account is you need to do this in IHI, which is at education.ihi.org. I need to be able to see your account in order to add you to the roster in IHI. So your organization needs to be exactly Southern District Health Board. If it's misspelt or if it's initialized or whatever, I won't find you. And then the second thing is that if you're any of these, so like a student, an intern, a resident, a teacher, professor, or dean, so somebody, if you've got an email address at the university or the college as well, then if you could select that as a primary role, and then also let me know that that's what you are, because then I'll be able to actually make that a free account for IHI for me, and I can put another person into the course. If you've created your account, but you've got an email from me saying you haven't successfully set it up, please just double check your profile in IHI is absolutely correct. And if it is, then let me know, and I will try and help you. So to be able to check your profile, there's instructions here on how to check your profile as well. Okay, so accessing the modules, I'm going to take you to the education platform and just show you around there. So in the guide schedule, you can actually click on those links and they'll take you directly to the module if you want to do it that way. But if you want to find it in IHI directly, which is probably better, you have to put in your username, obviously. Oh. Okay, so you get this screen here. The best way to get to find the modules is to browse the catalog.
Wait for this to load. On the left-hand side, you can see browse by topic. You click on Open School, and then just select the basic certificate English. So the Open School has more than 13 modules in it. It has lots of other modules that you can do if you want. But to do the basic certificate, you need to do 13 specific modules, which have been listed on the website and also listed here. So you see it's returned 13 results, but then helpfully, it doesn't show you 13. So you need to then click more results to see all 13. Okay. Then at the right-hand side, you will see this button say enroll. If that button for some of them says add to cart, that means I've not yet added you to the roster. So you're not subscribed yet. But if you set up your account correctly, then that will happen over about a week. Okay. If you see enroll for all of them, then you're really good to go. You can click on the enroll button. So let's just click on one of the enroll buttons. And then it will add it to your learning center, okay, which is another area in the education platform, which basically lists the ones that you've enrolled in. So you need to enroll in all 13, and then go to your learning center to actually take them, okay? In order to complete the whole course, you need to complete each module and a little bit of quiz at the end and get a certificate for each module. Once you've got a certificate for each module, there's instructions on how to actually claim your certificate for the whole course. But once you won't have officially completed the whole course until you download that certificate saying you have. And then if you want accreditation from the DHB, you can send that certificate to training at Southern DHB. Again, that's all on the website that I've showed you. And then they can add that to your Arizona Employee Connect, so the training can get recognized by the organization if you need that. It's now 10:02. So I'd love you to have some lunch, stay behind, and I'll be here to answer questions and things like that, help you with this and that. And if you've got time, just get to know each other a bit more and look at the whiteboards a bit more. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, everybody on Zoom.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheerio.
Thank you.